Good morning, lower sixth. So I thought I'd do a recording, an overview of feedback for your APG. We'll talk about this in class, obviously, but it's important that you now start focusing on mastering not only the essays, which is what you'll tend to focus on, but also mastering writing really concise 4 markers that achieve all the marks. 4 markers are worth 16% of paper 1 and paper 2. And also they're a bit of a time trap sometimes, and students over-answer them. So it's important. Now we've also got a 10 marker in this paper. 10 markers are generally easy questions and you shouldn't need to write a lot for them. Again, you might look at them, go, wow, that's easy, and then you over-answer them. Unfortunately, the 12 and 20 markers aren't as easy and you might not have enough time to finish those properly. If not, finish at all. So we'll work on your timing as we go through the year. Now, this first question is easy. This is a gift from Mr. Freeman. If you see him, say thank you, because we need to, the average gross profit achieved each week. Well, straight down here, we can see that we've got this £3,600 revenue. We've got this 60%. We could sort of write a formula if we really wanted to, and there's your answer. Now, in A-levels, this is not an A-level question. This is probably from some revision materials. What we have normally is you've got to, they give you a piece of information, you calculate a separate piece of information, you then calculate the answer. Here, we were basically given it, and then we calculated it. So it's a bit more simplistic than we would normally see in an A-level paper, but it's a nice, easy starter. Now, we're thinking about here with the explain question, and we've got our business plan, okay, which we need to define, and we're thinking about what is the hook. So what all of our points are going to be talking to is obviously how it helped her to obtain finance from the bank. Okay, so everything starts with a good definition. If it was me, my advice to you is write your definition before you even bother reading the case study, because then you'll know what you're looking for if you've got a really well-structured definition. So if you look at this definition, our business plan is a written document outlining a company's goals, strategies, target markets, and financial forecasts. Excuse me. So what we've got there is instantly, if we wanted, I could look at my 30 to 50-year-olds. I could look at my pricing that I'm going after, the premium trainer market that I'm after as well. It could be that it's a local strategy. All of these things can go into this if we wanted to. But what we need in a 4 marker is the structure is define, give an example, give another example, and then your analysis in context. Now this application needs to be in context with, in this case, the business plan, and then your analysis needs to answer the question in context. So the overall, how it has helped really, okay? So let's look at the evidence we used. So we know that Maria has not run a shoe business before. And in some ways, I'm going to get the application mark for that because I've interpreted the case study. That's great. But because it mentions she used to work for HSBC, I know that that is a bank. She used to work in a bank. Okay, I've nailed it. Definitely got the mark there. And then we know that she's hoping to borrow £50,000 towards her £60,000 startup cost. So again, this is in context with what do we need? Well, she's hoping to borrow money to start her business. Okay, so we've got some evidence in there as well. And those of you that are paying attention, you'll very quickly understand that in a minute I'm going to do a basic calculation. So overall, I like the word overall because it sort of signifies to the examiner, here comes my answer. And the business plan highlighted her investment of £10,000. You'll notice, cheeky calculation. Now, I don't really need to do a calculation in this question, but actually get in the habit, as soon as you see numbers, do a basic calculation and draw a conclusion from it. If you can do that in all of your essays, I mean proper essays, 10, 12, 20s, the examiners are going to love you because you'll be in the minority of people that bothers to do a calculation. So this shows her commitment and possibly reduces the perceived risk. Okay, so how has it helped her It's helped her because of that lower perceived risk. Okay, so I'm not just describing the business plan. Additionally, the plan is likely to provide evidence of her ability to generate sufficient revenue and achieve profitability, giving the bank confidence in her ability to repay the £50,000 loan. Now, this is actually two answers to this question. It flowed, it was fine, it was typed within 5 minutes. You could have probably got away with just writing that, it's in context, and the rest of it's fine. So we would get a knowledge mark for here, application mark for those two, and this would be our analysis mark, and we would give that 4 out of 4, hopefully. And we finished it in 5 minutes and we've moved on. So if we're thinking about one benefit of Rieve, of operating in a niche market, this is a cheeky marketing question that was left on the paper, and it was worthwhile doing. It's nice to revise Mrs. T's side of the course. Again, we know we are going to define niche market. We know it's in context with these guys, so we're not going to just generally describe niche markets, are we? Even though we're probably going to start with a relatively abstract definition, because again, it helps us think about what we need to look for in the case study. A niche market is a small specialised segment of a larger market with distinct customer needs. So I'm thinking shoes are relatively mass market, not so much niche. Small specialised segment, I'm thinking about what are those segments? Well, again, we've looked at this evidence previously. We've got prices, we've got age groups, we've got location in some ways. So, you know, we're thinking this is important. Higher income customers, mainly career women. Yeah, there's a lot of information in that paragraph which makes this a very easy answer. Once we've given ourselves a good definition, put a K next to that, I'm going to award myself the mark. In the case of Rieve, the business focuses on higher income career women aged 30 to 50 and not all age groups. Now, pay attention to this bit here. I think it's quite important that I don't just drop in the evidence, and I explain it a little bit. I'm not writing an essay here, but I don't want to risk not getting the marks. So what I've done is I've compared it to the mass market in this case. So not all age groups, because all age groups would be more mass. 30 to 50-year-olds is less mass, therefore more niche. Okay, so think about that. It's a nice easy way to drop 5 words on the end of a sentence, and at least you're comparing it to something. Let's see if we've done it again in this one. She sells premium quality footwear. Well, that's a bit niche, isn't it, using that language? And here's some brands, so some nice application in there. Double the market average. So actually, this is comparing to the more mass market. All right. So yes, we've got a bit of application there. We've got a bit of application there. We've got a little bit of application there in some ways, but it's all explained properly. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to give myself the application marks. You should be self-marking your own work. And we're just looking for the overall answer. So we need to explain one benefit of this. So at the moment, we've got a definition, we've got some examples of niche. Now we need to actually answer the question. I've not used the word overall, which is a bit disappointing, but never mind, I've got man flu. Operating in a niche market allows Rieve to charge premium prices than budget brands, achieving greater profit margins. Nearly in English. So it's really important that we've got a bit of a comparison there. Yep, so than budget brands. Okay, so I'm charging more, and therefore hopefully they're going to increase their profit margins. There's a bit of a link in there to a bit of context to do with more mass, and this is one potential outcome. Not 100% happy with that as a statement. We've got premium prices already mentioned, so I'm not going to get marks for answering it again. Does it answer the question? I think so. I think you're probably going to get away with that. I'm going to give it 4 out of 4. We can argue about that in class if you want to. Now, on we go. So I should have planned this first before showing you the definition, but it's already up. So assess Maria's decision, not to approach members of her family for the £50,000 startup capital. So clearly you can see we needed to define, get back in there, we needed to define, I don't know what that is, I'll do it down here. We need to define startup capital, and we're thinking about this in context with other sources of finance. Okay, so we need to think about just that initial launch of the business, covering costs such as equipment, inventory. So again, the definition helps me look for evidence for equipment, inventory, operational expenses that I might find in the case study. Now, I've already read the case study because of the previous questions. I should already have that information in my head. And make sure you're answering questions in the order of the exam paper, by the way, because if all three of these questions were from extract A, this is going to be quite easy and quick to answer because you'll already have evidence in your head if the chief examiner's as generous as we've been with your APGs. Okay, so the comparison, by the way, is obviously rather than from a family. So we've got banks and families. Question only mentions family. We've got a nice bit of context in there. Now, because the 50,000 is in the question, this is not classed as application because you're just repeating what's in there. So the bank gives us a little bit of application. Okay, so seeking a loan from a bank ensure professionalism and reduce the risk of personal conflict. So we're already comparing there. By relying on the bank, Marie avoided potential strain on her family relationships which can arise from money when money is involved. This is in your textbook, standard answer. It also demonstrates her independence and professionalism as an entrepreneur. And we know she's starting up her own business. She's got this entrepreneurial flair. There's a little bit of interpretation and application there. Likely increasing her credibility with customers and suppliers. Well, maybe her customers and her suppliers don't know where she's got her source of finance from. Maybe they don't care, by the way. However, the suppliers might do credit checks on her. Now, if she's borrowing money from the bank, for example, this will go on her business credit record. It might actually make it easier for her to secure favourable credit terms from her suppliers where she's buying her trainers from. Okay, so we've got our analysis in there, and we're thinking, is there three chains of argument here? From the bank, ensured professionalism is sort of on there. By relying on the bank, Maria avoided a potential strain on the relationship. It also demonstrated there's at least three there, and we've got a likely increasing her credibility with customers in there for good measure. In your 10 markers, you need three chains of argument, no more. But it's not how many, it's what you do with them, and it's got to be in context. I encourage you to use quotation marks around evidence, not because you're gaming the system and tricking the examiners. It's to make sure that you actually remember the case study. Just quoting it is not good enough for top marks. Interpretation is what we need, but we've got interpretation in here already, and this example student dropped some evidence on the end of the paragraph just to make sure it was fully contextualised. Armed with a business plan, Maria approached her former employers, HSBC, for a small business loan. We are then going to have howevers in there, and I would encourage you to put howevers at the end of your paragraphs. We'll talk about a more concise technique as we go through the year for some 10-mark questions. Some 10 markers can be a bit tricky. This one, we could have had assess the decision. Paragraph 1, it's good. Paragraph 2, it's not. And answer the question. I think if you can write in this concise way, you should be able to write your however paragraphs as well. The howevers need to be in context as well. They can't be abstract rubbish. You're not going to get marks for them. So let's see how abstract this rubbish is. However, the interest on the loan adds financial pressure on Maria compared to potentially interest-free family support. Okay, so Interest on loans. There's a bit of knowledge about loans, obviously, but it's been applied because of the financial pressure that we see here and expertly compared to the interest-free family support. Okay? Borrow from a bank allowed Marie to retain full control of her business. Family members might have expected a say in the business decision and contributed financially, which could have led to disagreements and slowed decision making. There's a bit of an assumption here, but then again, if Marie's, going to Bank of Mum and Dad and saying, "Hi, can I have 50 grand?" maybe that comes along with those emotional ties. Maybe Marie just wanted to crack on and do it herself, really, and go for advice from family if she needs it. So I feel comfortable that I've put that in there because of those family relationships. Okay, by securing a loan independently, Marie was able to focus on growing her niche footwear brand. Where did we possibly get that from? Well, maybe it's because we answered the exam paper in the order of the questions. I've now introduced a little bit more about focusing on that niche brand. I'd already written an answer on niche. Why not use it again? And then we've seen achieving that. Well, I wonder where we got that information from, hey? Luckily, we did a calculate question earlier. Do you see what I mean about doing the stuff in the order of the exam paper and remembering what you'd written in previous answers? Okay, lots of students will answer a question, forget it, move on. You're missing an opportunity sometimes. However, banks have strict repayment schedules which can be challenging for new businesses to meet. We know she's a new business. Especially during periods of low cash flow. Now, in some ways, nearly abstract, but we've got new business, which gives us a bit of contextualization. So I'm happy with that. However, it's nice and contextualized. Okay? And let's face it, if she borrowed it from her mum and dad and she's having a hard time, "Dad, I'm not paying you this month." She might get away with that. She's not going to get away with that too often with the bank. Overall, what a lovely way to start a conclusion. Marie's decision reflects a forward-thinking approach to entrepreneurship by using formal financial channels to fund her business. Sort of answered the question. So this is one of the reasons she's done it. This choice provided her with an opportunity to establish credibility in the financial system, which could support her future borrowing needs as the business grows. Okay, so that's coming back to that credit rating and stuff like that. Okay, now I don't like this conclusion, and I've left it in there on purpose. Now I'm thinking that this definition's fine, nice chains of argument. I'm thinking this is probably level 4, and you know what the criteria is saying. I'm thinking that this is also level 4 as well. Okay, now this does answer the question. Yeah. I would be happier if it was overall, I think Maria's decision was right to use the bank and not her family, full stop. And then maybe I would have thought about writing something about in the conclusion to justify properly, and justifies the opportunity cost in quite a lot of these answers, not all of them. And the opportunity cost of not going to a family is going to a family. Now, in some ways, we would be reworking some of the things that we've said. It's pretty well written, but this also doesn't have any contextualization in it. Okay, it's a repeat of stuff that's going on. It does answer the question. I'm going to put A next to that because I think it answers the question. I just don't think the J is going on the page. It's not been justified. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think this is going to be 7 or 8 out of 10. And because I'm flued up and in a bad mood, I'm going to give it 7 out of 10. Okay? It's okay. That conclusion is not good. We can try better with that one. And we will explore conclusions as we go through the lower 6th into the upper 6th. Now, oh, look at that. Forgetting my own slides. If she chose to use funding from family, it might have been cheaper. e.g. no interest, but she would have missed out on building a good credit rating for her new business. Actually, this is a new dimension to this conclusion. I will do the traditional teacher thing and pretend I planned this, which clearly I have because I've written it. Now, it's sort of a repeat, but we've got that good link into credit rating as well. It's a nut that it sort of reinforces that point that we put up there, which came across as a bit wishy-washy. And okay, right, maybe I'm not in that much of a bad mood. We'll give it 10 now. Okay, you can give it 9 if you want to. And remember that flexibility that examiners have. 9 or 10, we're both right. Moving on. Now this is an actual past paper question for Fevertree, and it'd be quite nice if we could get Fevertree back in since they went to our school. So using the information in extract B, calculate the operating profits. K for knowledge, that's a K. For 2016, you're advised to show your workings. Now you will always see you're advised to show your workings. You will show your workings. You're not going to get cocky. You're not just going to throw the numbers on a page because you think it's easy, or an A-level mathematician that's insulted by the standard of maths. Write your workings down. When you accidentally do a decimal place in the wrong place, or you forget to put a pound sign down, excuse me, at least you'll get some of the marks. Okay, so using the information, calculate the operating profits. Well, everything starts with a good definition, and in this case it's a financial formula, and then what you do is you go to the case study and you identify what they give you. They're then going to make you work for something, and the golden rule obviously when you're doing calculate questions is you do not round in the middle of your answers. It will change the outcome of your answer. Go very, very careful. And just to repeat, just in case you didn't get it, do not round in the middle of your calculations. So here's some of the information we need. So we need revenue, we need cost of sales, and we need other operating expenses. Okay, so quite easy. It's all there listed in the document. We then put it in order and take it away, and then we get all of our answers. Okay, so we've got our information and we've got it there. The rounding rant you'll understand from the next question. So you'll notice that there is a pound symbol there. If I miss the pound symbol off, I'm going to lose a mark. Okay, so make sure you use your unit descriptors. Quite an easy question, but it all starts with that. If any of you have got this question wrong, it's because you forgot the formula. Okay, and it might be that you just remembered it, but you didn't bother writing it down, and then you forgot to add one element into the formula. Okay, quite an easy question. So using the formula extract B, 2 decimal places. Now they're looking to test your math skills. So if you round it to 1 decimal place or a whole number, you're going to lose a mark because you've not answered the question properly. The profit for the year, and we've got margin there, so I'm expecting a percentage for Fevertree 2016, show your workings. Everything starts with a good definition, and here's our definition in the format of a formula. So we know we need to find that, and then we should be able to calculate stuff. Okay, so we've got our figures, which we put in there nice and carefully. We times it by 100, and suddenly you will see this is why we do not round in the middle of our calculations, because if we did round this to 2 decimal places, we would have a different number that comes out the other end of it, and it would be wrong. I've put it to 2 decimal places because the question asks me to do it to 2 decimal places, and there is a percentage sign on the end of it. If I didn't do either of those, I'm going to lose a mark. Okay, so it's really, really important. If I would have calculated that and left that on the page, I would get 3 marks. And a common mistake of A-level students is they don't complete the question, which seems a bit odd really. and that won't be you because none of you are that daft. So show your workings just in case you just add in the wrong answer, okay? Or you don't complete it, sorry. And I do believe that is us done. Hopefully that was useful. You can go over it again and again as much as you like, and we'll also go through it in class when we meet up as well. So have a wonderful day. Adios.